Now I'm going to go to create an open bid by selecting that in the left-hand menu. I'm choosing the specifications that I want to add. I'm giving it a title. I can add a reference number if I want to. Now the important thing here is the bidding start time. Now this can be anywhere up to a week from now. For the purposes of the demo, I'm going to give this a really short time frame, but I could set this to start up to a week from now. And what will happen is that the suppliers will get a notification that there is an auction there. They'll be able to go in and view the specifications and actually prepare for the auction prior to the actual bidding start time. So I'm putting in an end time and the actual project completion date, so the suppliers have an idea of the lead time on the actual project. Now here in this section, in the middle here, you'll see there's actually instructions that explains all of what happens in the open bid here, each of these things that are going to happen. But for this first specification, I'm going to put in my quantities. I'm going to put in 3 for this demonstration. I'm going to put in the initial price, which is obviously where the bidding is actually going to start from. It's going to automatically work out the unit price for me. Now, in this case, I'm actually going to use this on a percentage decrement, and I'm going to set it at 2% for each of them. I can set it differently for each quantity if I want to. It's working out the price decrement by a dollar value for me there also. Now I'm doing the same for the second product. I'm putting in quantities, initial bidding, where it's going to start from for each quantity break, and what my decrement is. Again, I'm just using 2%, but it could be different for each if I wanted. Now you'll see here I have 2 choices. I'm using percent here. You could use a dollar amount if you want. And on this second one, always select the second option. That means the suppliers will be bidding against each other rather than just seeing their own lowest bid. Now I can select a supplier to add in here at the bottom by starting to type the supplier's name and locating them in the list. Or I can add them by category, and I've already set up a category, so I'm just going to add the whole supplier category that has the suppliers that I want to participate in this open bid. Okay, so that's submitted to the suppliers now. I can go into the estimate list and I can see the bid is here in the estimate list. I can see if there's any estimates already being submitted. Now from the supplier view, the supplier is going to get a notification on their My Desktop page in Notion. They'll also receive an email notification. Now their desktop should have been set up correctly, and that's in the basic supplier training. As long as they have their desktop and their email preferences set up correctly, they should see what I'm seeing here. It's all in the basic user guide. That's a separate document. And they will see 3 different notifications on their desk that there's an open bid started. They can click this to go straight through and see the actual open bid. Now what they'll see here is the information that I just put in, what the starting bid is, what the decrement's going to be for the bidding. Now you'll see that the auction hasn't actually started yet. There's a little while before it's going to start, but if I wanted to, and I actually can't create an estimate at this point, the button's grayed out. What I can do at this time as a supplier is I have to actually refresh the screen. So to see how much time is remaining, I have to continually, that's not a live countdown there. I have to continually refresh the screen to see the time remaining. What I could do here as a supplier is I could click on the blue link and I could go and have a look at the specifications now before the auction started, which is why it's worthwhile actually giving the suppliers plenty of time to do that prior to the auction actually starting. So you'll see here, I need to keep refreshing the screen. Once the auction has actually started, the time's commenced, the Create Estimate button becomes available and I can create an estimate. So I can give this a reference number and an expiry date as a supplier if I choose to. It's not mandatory. And it will tell me what the next bid that I need to make is. I can go and put a price in. If it thinks that my price is too low and I may have made a mistake, it is going to give me a warning, and I can adjust that. Also, if I go too high, it will tell me that I can't do that. So I'm going to submit my pricing here for each item and each quantity. I'll do the same with the second item. And when I'm happy with my pricing, I'm just going to say send estimate, and that will submit it to the buyer. Now I'm back in the buyer view here. If I go back into my open bid session from here, I'm actually able to see now my initial information that I entered. I can see how much time is remaining in the auction. I'm actually just pausing here just for a moment while I have another supplier enter some pricing. And I can see down here what bids the suppliers actually entered. And again, I need to refresh my screen here to be able to see in real time. So you can see when I refresh the screen that now I can see that that second supplier has entered their pricing, and the green pricing is indicating which supplier is actually winning this bid now. From the supplier perspective again, as long as I keep refreshing my screen to see this in real time, I can see how much time is remaining, and I can also see at the bottom of the screen here what my current rank is and what my current lowest bid is. So I can see for this supplier, I'm currently ranked second, so I'm not winning this auction at this point. I know what my lowest bid is for each item. And I can see what the initial starting point was, and at this point I can actually now choose to create another estimate. Again, it's guiding me about whether I'm bidding too low or too high, and I can go in and submit a second estimate the same way I did the first time. And send the estimate. Now again, if I pick this up from the buyer view and I refresh my screen again, I can now see there's 3 estimates submitted. One supplier has submitted 2 separate estimates, and again the green one is the one that's currently winning the auction. Once the auction has closed, if I refresh my screen again, once the auction is closed, the status changes to closed. I can see that there's no time remaining in the auction. It tells me that it's expired. And I can see the final pricing that the 3 suppliers have submitted, the green one being the winning supplier. Now at this point also, if I wanted to, I can hit this export to Excel button, and it's going to download the file to an Excel file. I'm using a Mac right now, but there you can see I've actually managed to download the document, an Excel file that I could use as an upload.